This podcast is part of the Michigan Sports and Entertainment Podcast Network. Go to michigansportsandentertainment.com for more great podcasts.
Hey everyone, this is Austin.
What's going on, guys? This is John.
And you're listening to Voice of the Fan Sports Podcast. All right, John, we're back recording again. 2 days in a row. We're back at it. We're back
in this thing.
Wanted to let everyone know with the offseason, we'll probably move to a once-a-month show just because there's just not enough really going on to talk to you every single week. And we're going to target the end of the month and try and let some things develop during that time period and then try and present it and bring it to you guys. So that is a little bit of an update of where we've been and where we're going. We're in full off-season mode here. So, John, what do we got here?
It's been pretty quiet so far. There's been some big news, but not a lot of like small-time commitments or anything. Everything's either been big news or just kind of, man, there hasn't been like a lot of it. So, obviously talking big time news. Probably one of the biggest transfers gets in Michigan State history is all Big East freshman. One of the best freshmen in the country last year, talent-wise, was Joey Hauser, who was a redshirt freshman. We'll talk about him coming here a little bit. Not going to spend too much time on him because we won't see him next season unless the 1% chance he gets eligibility. Talk a little bit about Jalen Terry, the one commit we have so far for the 2020 class, and then talk about the remaining targets for that class. And then obviously talk a little bit about football recruiting. There's been 4 commitments so far that we haven't talked about at all, so I'll talk about each one of those guys. And then talk about some potential targets. And then next month's show, I'll get into more of the official visits and all the June commitments. Because just like Austin said on the Purdue show last night, for Purdue, June has been a huge month for Michigan State football recruiting in the past. Last year, I think we got a bunch of commits in June. So hopefully we'll see the same trend because there's only been 4 guys commit so far. So hopefully we can get that train moving. But I guess we'll just jump into it, Austin. This is probably going to feel weird being done after like 15, 20 minutes, but not much really to cover. But Joey Hauser is definitely really exciting. I remember his recruiting process. I really wanted him a couple years ago. Izzo really recruited him hard. He ended up going to Marquette, obviously. And I thought Joey would really be interested in coming to Michigan State because of how far we made it in his recruiting process. But the reports were that Joey Hauser and his brother Sam Hauser would be a package deal. And rumors came out about 3 weeks after they announced they were transferring that they are going to go to Wisconsin as a package deal. And then a couple days later, all of a sudden, I'm on vacation, waking up on a couch hungover, and I'm seeing Michigan State Twitter accounts posting Joey Hauser's sources say Joey Hauser's transferred to MSU, blah blah blah. And honestly, didn't believe it until it was official. That's why I waited to tweet from our account until when it happened, because don't want to be that guy out there posting fake news, as the kids say. But so I was shocked, to be honest. I mean, I thought there was a lot of interest from Joey, but really there was no way we could land both unless one of them decided to come in and just be a walk-on, which, I mean, I don't think either Joey or Sam would do that. Joey was a big-time recruit, and Sam's been a hell of a player for Marquette. So I definitely thought they would be a package deal to Wisconsin, but apparently that didn't work out. I mean, there's some rumors that his mom didn't want them going to Wisconsin for whatever reason. Not going to get into that. But, so Joey ends up at Michigan State. Sam ends up at Virginia. Huge pickup for both teams. Joey, though, I mean, not next year. He won't be playing next year, like I said, but the year after. I mean, you're talking about potentially Austin having Xavier Tillman playing center still with Joey Hauser just stretching the floor. And Xavier Tillman developed a little bit of a three-point shot in the NCAA tournament. So being able to have Joey who can back down in the post. I mean, I was watching there's this like 28-minute YouTube video of just him like scoring his offensive game. And when I just thought he was a shooter, Austin, I mean, this kid is physical on the block and he can get down. I mean, he almost reminded me of Nick Ward in the post. Not his polished moves, but just his strength and his positioning to get guys under the basket for a quick move. I mean, I was impressed with that. So he's definitely going to be a weapon. It's going to be interesting to see because he already had his redshirt year. So I guess how it works is at the end of his final season of eligibility, Michigan State can then apply for a 6-year of eligibility because of his transfer. So we'll either have him for 2 years or 3 years, hoping for 3. But just to kind of give you an idea on Joey Hauser, he started 31 of 34 games. He averaged about 10 points and 5.5 rebounds. The most impressive stat was shat. He shat.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's really good at chatting. The most impressive stat from him was that he shot 43% from the free throw line, standing 6'9", 230 pounds. So he's a big kid. He's going to play the 4. He's already really well developed body-wise. Not only is he 230 pounds, he's pretty ripped for a young kid. It's a guy that I think would work perfectly in Izzo's offense, especially with all the movement around the three-point arc. They do a lot of motion. Unfortunately, won't be able to see him play with Cassius, but just guys on that team, they're going to be able to find him and give him the ball in the corner or at the top of the key. I think he's going to be probably, honestly, I expect him to be one of the better players for Tom Izzo since Tom Izzo's been here. So really high on Joey Hauser. Unfortunate, we'll just have to watch him on the bench next year, do his little celebrations with the rest of the bench mob. But I think an underrated aspect of guys like this, Austin, though, is especially when they're as good as a Joey Hauser, is playing on the scout team in practice.
Could be beneficial.
It's not going to make this huge difference, but not often do you get a kid who's one of the better players, a better scorer, or potentially has a chance to be one of the better scorers in the country, be on your scout team. So, it worked well. Aaron Harris transferred over here with a big time transfer for us. He was on the scout team for a year, helped the other guys out a lot. So it's an underrated aspect, I think, of this transfer. But keep your eye out for Joey Hauser, not this season, but the next. He's probably going to be a starter. And if Tillman does not go to the NBA after next year, that front court of Joey Hauser and Xavier Tillman, I don't think will make Austin too happy as a Purdue fan. So really excited to see him get here and get working with the team. Moving on to...
Ooh, wait. Quick question.
Yeah.
Would you say Joey Hauser is comparable to, say, an Ethan Happ, but more, just better as a shooter?
Yeah, I think that's a good comparison. I think Ethan Happ is immensely talented in the post especially, but so I wouldn't go as far as Joey Hauser is that good yet. I think he has potential to be that good in the post, but yeah, if you want to picture a guy that he could potentially turn out to be, it's Ethan Happ that shoots 43% from the 3-point line. So, but I'd have to show you this video. He's so physical. From the 3-point line, he'd get the ball, he'd turn his back to the basket and just, punish guys who were undersized trying to guard him at the 3-point line. So, which is part of his game I did not know he had. I thought he was just a stretch 4, but it's going to be really interesting to see him develop and see what he can do. I don't think he'll be as lethal as Ethan Happ was on the block because Ethan Happ was just a magician around there, but
yeah,
he's going to be a better free throw shooter than Ethan Happ, I hope.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, I really won Michigan State the game in the Big Ten tournament. They put him on the line and he just missed every shot. But that's actually a really good. I'm glad you asked that. I couldn't really think of a comparison for Joey Hauser because honestly, as popular as a stretch 4 is nowadays, you don't really see a lot of guys like that are really good. So,
right.
I think he's gonna be a really good player. Obviously tough to say. He's still a young kid. He only averaged 10 points a game, but just watching his highlights, seen a lot of potential. Got to get better with his movement on the defensive side of the ball, but he's 19 years old. I'm going to give him a break. Izzo's got a year to work with him without even getting into the game. So, and the benefit thing is when I wanted both of them, we would have had to lose somebody. So we didn't have to lose anybody other than Nick Ward, which was going to happen regardless. So to get Joey Hauser, and he's going to take one of the scholarships the last scholarship in the 2019 class, but he's going to take a scholarship in the 2020 class. which leaves us with, I believe, because I'm going to talk about Jalen Terry now. I think Cassius will be gone. Langford, Arns. So we'll probably have about 4 scholarships, 3 or 4. We had one of the most up-and-coming prospects of this class is Jalen Terry. The point guard out of Mount Morris, Michigan, goes to Beecher High School. He's a little small, Austin. He's 5'10", 155 pounds.
Oh, wow.
But, I mean, he is like, watching his, I mean, he's been tearing it up in the EYBL league so far. I mean, he's jumped up from, I know he was like 110, I think, when he first committed. He's in 98th in composite. 24/7 themselves have him as the 29th best player in the country.
Wow.
So when you can get that top 100 kid and top 30 according to 24/7 at 5'10", 155, if he can put some pounds on and maybe grow an inch, I mean, he has a chance to be lethal. And the positive side of him is he's got Rocket Watts ahead of him. So he's not going to be asked to start right away when he gets here. And the biggest surprise about him, Austin, is one of the best parts of his game is he's a high flyer. The kid can, like, get a, like, I mean, just dunk. Like, I 5'10", I mean, you think, like, rim grazers. This kid can yam. Like, I was watching this, I was like, wow, okay.
Yes.
I can barely do that at 6 foot.
I'm all about the little guys that can just jump out of the gym.
I don't know if you remember Kay Felder at Oakland. He played for the Cavs for a little bit, but he averaged like 29 points a game for Oakland University. But he was a high flyer. We had Jalen Terry. I mean, he was pretty much a Michigan State lock all the way. He's like a backyard, like a playground dog, just bulldog type player. Your typical Izzo guy. He's really physical as much as he can be. He's a hard worker. I think he's a perfect fit for this team, for the system that Izzo runs. Obviously, the worry is, I mean, Foster. You look at Foster Loyer, who dominated high school basketball at 5'10", whatever he is, and you see him struggle in D1, you know, especially Big Ten games. The physicality, I mean, is no other in the country. I feel like, especially in the Big Ten. So. You definitely had to be a physical kid coming into the Big Ten and playing for a big-time program like Michigan State, so that's going to be the big question mark around him. Other than that, I mean, he's a big-timer. Honestly, if he was like 6'2", like 180, Austin, he'd probably be like a top 15 recruit. But, I mean, size does matter. I mean, with unfortunately, the thing that you can't control. I mean, you can control, you know, how you shoot the basketball and whatnot, but you can't choose your height. So, obviously that's a downside for him, but I think he's going to be a solid player at Michigan State. The other targets for this class, I think the main guy is Isaiah Jackson, who is I'm like Austin last night. I don't have this pulled up yet.
Yeah.
Where is he? All right. Hang on. He's definitely a 5-star recruit. He's another, I mean, but that's the thing about looking at 2020 guys is, I mean, they're all going to gain weight. But Isaiah Jackson's a smaller big man. He is 6'9", 190, the 14th best player in the country according to the composite rankings. 24/7 has him. Wow, my internet doesn't want to load. Has him at, well, they don't have their, oh yeah, that has him at 15, so pretty much the same. He's out of Ohio. He goes to Spire Academy. He plays with current Michigan State commit Rocket Watts and LaMelo Ball. A really talented team. He is an athletic kid, can shoot the ball a little bit, kind of lacks physicality down low. I don't see him going anywhere else. I think Louisville's a pretty big competitor, but I think Michigan State has the lead on this one. Maybe Michigan, you know, question Juwan Howard's coaching ability. He's probably going to be able to get some recruits at Michigan, so don't really know what he's going to be able to steal from us yet, but I'm pretty confident with this kid. I mean, getting another top 15 recruit kind of reminds me of, you remember Deontay Davis, Austin? He played at Michigan State for a couple years ago.
The name sounds familiar.
He was, he played behind Matt Costello. He was like a tall, lanky kid. Really probably should have stayed a second year. He reminds me a lot of him, really athletic but skinny. I was going to give him a Jaren Jackson comp, but Jaren Jackson beefed up pretty big before he got to Michigan State. He skyrocketed to the second best recruit in the country by the end of his high school career, and I don't think this Isaiah Jackson kid will do that. But kind of like that Jaren Jackson, Deontay Davis feel, undersized kid, but has the athletic capability to be big time if he can get that body college ready. But the talent is undeniable with him. He's their number one target still. Another kid is, some sites have him as a 5-star, some have him as a 4. Cameron Fletcher out of Missouri, St. Louis. Missouri probably has a slight lead on us right now. He's kind of like a slasher at 6'6", 180. He can really get to the basket, really good on defense. Honestly, probably one of me personally, my top priority in this class. Excuse me. I think he's going to be a big time need when it comes to this class, what we have and what we don't. So I don't know if we'll be able to steal him from Missouri. There's really no one else, I don't think, really competing with us other than Missouri. I mean, Illinois is in here, but does Illinois ever really get anybody anymore?
Not really.
So, I mean, Kansas State, Creighton, Missouri. I mean, he's getting recruited by schools, but he's a Midwest kid, and for whatever reason, these kids decide to go to like a Michigan State, a Purdue, or like some off school like Missouri. Although Missouri's got a pretty good recruiting class coming in. Other guys I'd keep your eyes on. Those are your top 2 targets because Jalen Terry committed. Would be a guy like Carlos Johnson, who's 6'6", 210, just out of the top 100, out of Benton Harbor, Michigan. I'm pretty sure he's a Michigan lock, which is unknown with Juwan Howard coming in. And then maybe a guy like Bryce Thompson, who's more of a shooting guard, 6'5", 175. He's more new to the Michigan State radar. He's the 62nd best player in the country. They have him as a combo guard. I'm pretty sure he's going to end up at Oklahoma or Kansas, but Tom Izzo's putting his name in his hoping to get his name in Bryce Thompson's hat. So when he picks a school, so we'll see what happens there. I don't expect a crazy ranked class. I think you end up with Isaiah Jackson for sure, and Cameron Fletcher would be a dream class for me. But I think you end up with more like a guy kind of like a high end 3-star or a low end 4-star guy to round out that class. Because you're not going to have too many scholarship spots available. I don't think so. Wow, we're already 17 minutes in. That's just basketball recruiting. Wow. Okay. Well, don't get me talking on recruiting, I guess. We're going to move on to football now. Austin, do you have any questions about Michigan State basketball before I move on?
I don't think so. They're usually, they are who I think they are, so.
Yeah. I was going to say, I'll talk more. I was going to do a little roster preview and stuff, but we'll do that more towards the end of summer when guys like Malik Hall and Rocket Watts and all of them are on campus and they develop a little more. So football recruiting, it's been a decent start to the class. They got, honestly, who I thought was their top target since, last year. I know I've talked about him with Austin. Darius Snow, who is, Austin, I don't know if you remember his name, Eric Snow, who was a former NBA player, played on the Sixers with Allen Iverson, played basketball at Michigan State. His son, Darius, who is the 253rd best player in the country. He's a safety at 6 foot 215, and he's a 4-star kid out of Texas. I was always kind of thought he was leading Michigan State, but anytime you get a big time kid out of Texas, even if he's a legacy recruit, you kind of think he sticks with the South, like a Texas school, Oklahoma, Bama, schools like that, which he all had offers from. So it's one of D'Antonio's biggest gets in the last couple of years, I think, because this kid has a ton of potential, Austin. And whenever we deep dive into their film, I think he's going to be one of your favorite players in this class. Just gathering what you seem to like from this past segment we did with our current classes. But he's one of my favorite recruits we've had in a couple of years. Really excited to see him. Obviously, it's the worst thing about recruiting, Austin, especially now, is that we're looking at 2020 kids and realizing, well, shit, we still got a season of football with the 2019 class. So we're not going to see these guys for a while, but it's definitely a big time pickup. He was supposed to have big news last night at 6 p.m. I guess I should probably look that up to see if it was anything actually big. But the next guy was an offensive guard who Austin loves offensive linemen.
I do. That I do.
Dallas
the big
Fincher,
nasties.
Yes. Dallas Fincher, who is, I think he's 6'4", trying trying to multitask here while looking up Darius Snow's if he posted anything. I don't think it's too newsworthy because I didn't see anything about it, so I guess I'll look later. Dallas Fincher, 6'4", 274. Bigger guy. He was I believe he was the first. Yeah, he was the first commit of this class. He's out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. He's a 3-star guy, 542nd in the country. Haven't really looked into him much. I know he's really physical. From what I've read, he's a really strong kid. Has really good footwork. Needs to work on his technique with his hands, though. Just from stuff that I've read, like I said, I haven't watched much of his film yet. But obviously, it's exciting to get really any commit at this point. I mean, as me and Austin know, we don't really get too many big-time kids, so every commit we get, we appreciate. Next, who I liked a lot when we got him, or when we were recruiting him, is Ian Stewart, another big-bodied receiver at 6'3", 200 pounds. A jump ball guy. Kind of reminds you of a Felton Davis, Austin, I would say. No really big-time speed. His route running doesn't look like it's much other than just run down the field and we're going to throw you the ball in the air. Obviously, he has time to improve that. But that's what he kind of reminds me of. And then a kid who I think is really underrated. He's a little undersized height-wise for tight end, Tommy Guardo. He's 6'3", 230, but this kid's he's a beast, man. He's ripped. He's really athletic. He's animal and blocking, just from what I've watched. He could improve his hands and route running. He's a 3-star kid, 6'3", 230 out of Dearborn, Michigan. I think he said he's 830th in the country, 24th in this position. But he was the second commit of the class, and he's the lowest rated, but I think he's, other than Darius Snow, he's my favorite out of the other 3 guys. Really athletic kid. Which, I mean, at 6'3", you'd say it's kind of small for a tight end, don't you think? For a guy, if you want him catching passes.
It's not bad size, but for a tight end and the matchups you face, and
it's not ideal.
The kind of physicality you have to deal with, it's not great. But you just never know if he's really athletic and he's built well. I mean, you just never know. So
yeah. So obviously, this class is hopefully going to get bigger than 4 guys. I would hope, Austin.
I would expect so, yes.
Just some targets to discuss before we let you guys go for the night. The top target was Darian Henry. I never thought, and I don't think now that we are going to get him. He's probably going to end up at Ohio State, I would say. High-end 4-star guy. D-end. I haven't really paid much attention to him for a while. Jesus Machado, apparently we're still after. He's a Florida kid, 3-star. There's not much on his recruiting when I did the big board, and there's still not much going on with him now. I don't really know what's going on with that situation. A kid who was added to our top targets is Jake Siebert. He's 6'1", 190, and man, is that a good body for a kicker. He's the best kicker in the country. Right now, it seems like it's between Michigan State and Ohio State. A lot of the Michigan State guys, Darius Snow, one mainly, who's been recruiting everybody via Twitter, is trying to get Siebert to come to Michigan State. It'd be nice to get a big-time kicker. As much as I love Coughlin, he doesn't have the biggest leg on him. It'd be nice to get a guy who can come out and nail a 50-yarder for you with no doubt. But other than that, I mean, it's Mushan Mohammed, who's another legacy recruit, the third. Also, I don't know if you remember his dad played for the Panthers.
Yep, I do remember.
He's split even with NC State crystal ball-wise at 40-40. Texas A&M is jumping in late, which kind of scares me with Fisher. I think that could be attractive to a kid from the South. He's the 146th best player in the country, 31st best, or 115th, I'm sorry, 25th best receiver, and 6th in North Carolina. The only thing keeping us in it, I really do think, is his dad being a legacy. I really thought he'd be, but he's shooting up the rankings. I don't think we end up with him. I think a big-time kid that we could end up with, 2 of them. And these are the 2 guys I would pay attention to most, is Michael Alamo, the 6'5", 215-pound quarterback out of New Jersey. He's a 256th best player in the country, 10th best quarterback, and 7th in the state. The kid's got a cannon of an arm. I haven't watched any game tape on him, just seen him at camps, and he's making a lot of really nice throws, which would be nice to get another big-time quarterback prospect. Brian Lewerke's gone after this year. So, you'll have Peyton Thorne, Rocky Lombardi, and Theo Day battling it out for next season. And then you get this kid in the next year. That'd be huge. Just from what I've read, it kind of seems like he's close to a lock as can be. For whatever reason, he's had offers from other big-time schools, but the good thing about quarterbacks too, Austin, I think, in recruiting is you don't really go after multiple quarterbacks in a class if you're a team. You know what I mean?
You're right.
So a lot of the high-end four-star guys end up deciding between a Michigan State, a Purdue, teams that aren't Michigan, Bama, and stuff like that, because all the guys like Trevor Lawrence are going to those big-time schools. So you can still get really solid quarterbacks in recruiting rankings. So, yeah, it's Michigan State's the only one that's warm, according to 24/7. Other schools are Boston College, Cal. Purdue's on there.
Purdue was in on him for a little while, and then they just kind of fell off. I don't really know. We talked about yesterday, Purdue, I think, is shifting towards dual threat guys, but he was on there. So
yeah, this does show how often 24/7 updates their scouting report. Michael Alamo is a 6'2", 175-pound pro-style quarterback, and then now he just measured in at 6'5", 215. So I wonder how long ago that scouting report was. But yeah, I think Michael Alamo is a guy who's going to commit to Michigan State and battle for a future starting spot at Michigan State versus a guy like Theo Day, who I think would be his biggest competitor. The other guy to look out for, which would be interesting to see how he fits, Jaheim Thomas. He's an outside linebacker. He's 6'3", 215, more of an edge guy in my opinion, and he kind of fits perfectly in that Chase Young role, Austin, I think, that Ohio State has, which Michigan State kind of does run a funky, like a third down set that they could get him in on, but he's definitely more of a pass rushing outside linebacker, and Michigan State is still a 4-3 team. But we got in on him. We're gaining momentum. It seems like late. All 10 crystal ball predictions are still for Ohio State, but he's trending elsewhere, it kind of seems like, and I think Michigan State is a school to keep an eye on for him. And then I guess the only other guy I would really bring up right now is Cameron Martinez, a safety. Or no, he's an athlete, but he'd probably end up playing safety. Out of Michigan, from Muskegon. He's between Ohio State, Michigan, and Michigan State. So, other than that, I mean, Austin, you got any questions for me football-wise before we let these wonderful people go?
No, I don't think so.
There's really not much of spring football stuff to update you guys with. Haven't really heard much other than what you expect. I mean, only really changes you're going to see on defense is Xavier Henderson playing safety. You'll have a new linebacker out there playing with Bocce and Tyreek Thompson. And well, no, you won't. You'll have Antoine Simmons. So the D-line's going to be nasty. It's got a lot of expectations, so we'll see if they can live up to it. I mean, some people are saying like second best in the country. So what do you think they're going to live up to that, Austin?
I think so. They're kind of
Quans. Got your boys, the Quans.
Yeah, and then hope Willikis with his broken leg will be back. So
I just seen video of him like 20 minutes before we got to the show. He's no brace or anything on his leg. He was getting back to work today, and he still looked like he had that quick step. So it was good to see him working out.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of a broken bone versus a torn muscle, tendon, ligament. They heal a lot faster, and they're stronger than they were before. Yep. So if you would, I mean, I would never pick an injury, but if you had to, I would definitely choose a broken leg over a
torn ACL.
A ligament or a tendon tear.
Yep.
So yeah, it's good for him. I mean, he's a projected first rounder. I think. Is it Raekwon? Did I have that right?
Yeah, Raekwon Williams. Yep.
I think he's a first round projection. So.
Raekwon's. I think he's going to really get noticed this year. Naquan, the other Quan, doesn't start because you got the Panashuk brothers, but I mean, to be able to have that deep of a defensive line, Austin, is really nice. It's a nice problem to have.
Yeah.
But got corners pretty much. I mean, Josiah Scott's going to leave after this year. He's probably a second, third round guy. And then opposite of him, you're probably having Josh Butler start with a guy like Kalen Gervin coming in, getting some time. Other than that, you got David Dowell, who's actually, I mean, Austin, you're a draft guy. He's pretty high on some guys as a senior safety, not underclassman, but somebody had him as the second best senior safety in the country. So I don't see it. I've always loved David Dowell. I just don't see his coverage being that great. But hey, what do I know, right? I'm not a scout. But so the defense is going to be, I mean, I don't even know why I'm talking about defense right now. We're going with it's going to be good. The defense is always good. Offense, hopefully we'll see some changes. I know there's been rumors that D'Antonio is going to loosen the chains a little bit on the play calling, which I hope he does a lot. I have a lot of hope for Brad Salem. I think the running back situation and O-line situation is going to be key to watch. Lewerke apparently has a lot of zip on the ball again. Wide receivers we know are good, as long as we're not running those spacing concepts that we ran that Austin kept ripping us on. But O-line and running back are going to be the question marks. Hopefully the O-line can pick it up, because without the O-line, you're not going to have much of a running game. So other than that, though, I think that's it for me, Austin. A little longer than 15 minutes like I thought, but still pretty short. Right. Got a lot of info in. And obviously, I mean, I know we're just loaded with followers. So if you guys have any questions for us ever, feel free to DM us for stuff you want us to talk about. And we'll bring it up on the show, especially since we're doing one a month. We're going to need stuff to talk about. So like I said, if you are one of our fans and followers that actually listens to the show, just shoot us a DM on Twitter at Voice of the Fan PC, and then we'll make sure to put it on the show.
Absolutely. So, well, yeah, awesome stuff. Awesome content for not a lot of content going around these days. So good work there. Yeah, as John said, send in questions. We'd love to handle them. We'll do our research. We'll do our homework, and we'll be squaring you guys away. So, as always, I'm Austin, co-host John Emmons. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. If you like what you heard tonight, subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Voice of the Fan, and also give us a listen on SoundCloud. And if you could, like our page on Facebook at Voice of the Fan, and follow us on Twitter at Voice of the Fan PC. Thanks, everyone.